Hey, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, men and women and boys and girls. Yes, I'm still resting my voice, but I'm feeling frisky. Tomorrow's my birthday, April 23rd, Wednesday. Happy birthday to me. I said I'm feeling kind of frisky. Oh yeah. I want to talk about people that act like they smart, but they ain't smart. They dumb as a box of fucking rocks. Talking jive talk, using a lot of words, a lot of oratorical masturbation. You know, flippant, yapping at the gums, double talking, just talking. Using a lot of words, flipping words and double entendres and oxymorons and shit like that. I want to talk about these smart Alecs. Yes, I do. I'm having fun. I want to talk about it. I mean, people come on YouTube, and I know that they are dumb and ignorant and unlearned and uneducated, but they think that the masses are the same as them. Niggas using big words like oxymoron. Sounds smart to me. Niggas using the phrase oxymoron, but they are incorrectly applying the word oxymoron. My God, how these motherfuckers came across a nigga with a college degree in English. They didn't come across any old college-educated Negro. No. These Negroes came across a research doing, spell check having, grammatical gremlin. That's what I is. Even my ebonics is correct. I want to have some fun, y'all. I mean, did y'all see how dirty I did that woman when she tried to high side and flex, talking about some Jezebel spirit? Y'all see how dirty I did her with the information? I mean, the phrase Jezebel spirit, it sounds cool and chic and nouveau. It sounds like it's full of psychological advantage. I broke that shit down to a racist piece of pseudo garbage. Did y'all see? I mean, the way I do them. No wonder they come on and especially the woman, and she curses like a sailor. Curses like a sailor. Same old rhetoric, same old narrative. Khalil ain't got no content. Khalil loved me. He act like I screwed him. Like we had sex. Oh my God. Vicious. I'm so vicious that woman wants to strike my channel down again. Oh yeah, stalking is her go-to card. Simply for me teaching that she's wrong as fuck about Jezebel and the lying Jezebel spirit. But did y'all see the deconstruction I did with the Jezebel spirit? Oh yeah, she posted a 39-minute video that was supposed to be some cold ass Judeo-Christian psychology. But what did I do? See, y'all remember, some of y'all might remember In Living Color. In Living Color. Remember the episode with Damon Wayans where he's in a jail, he's a prisoner, and he's talking all these high side words, trying to make you think he's intelligent, that he's read a book or two. Y'all remember those skits? Well, if you don't remember, here it is.
We must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumvent, circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jailhouse activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic...
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
Yeah, that's these two netwings call themselves YouTubers and truth seekers and Christian Israelites and Israelite Christians. Oh, we're going to get to the oxymoronic stuff in just a minute. But that's what they are. Talking a bunch of goo-gab, googly boogly goo. Coming on YouTube trying to act like they truth seekers, trying to act like they got knowledge, call themselves apostles and elders and claiming to have churches and shit, call themselves teachers and shit. Well, that's what they are. They just like Damon Wayans in Living Color. And then you got a guy out here like Khalil Amani, a learned man with a whole 2 college degrees in English and understands the research method, whether it be MLA, Modern Language Association, works cited bibliography, or whether it be APA, American Psychological Association, bibliography and works cited. I understand it all. But people come out here and call themselves teachers and truth seekers, ain't had a day, hardly had a day of high school, let alone a day of college, and let alone a day of real research and reading books. That's why when they steal other people's intellectual property and put it on their channel as content, we laugh. And after we laugh, we get to work and we deconstruct it. And we don't do one video on it and leave it alone. We knock that shit out the park, as I am doing with the whole Jezebel conversation. Murdering it, killing it dead. But yeah, homegirl came out here stealing another man's video, claiming it as her content. She never says one word on the video to this day, she ain't gave one sentence of commentary on Jezebel. But she thought she was pulling a fast one by telling us about the Jezebel spirit. And then I did this. I simply went to Google and I Googled the Jezebel spirit. And what did it tell me? What did it tell me? It told me that in some interpretations of the New Apostolic Reformation Christianity, the Jezebel spirit refers to a demonic influence that is seen as being at work on earth, similar to the character Jezebel from the Old Testament. The spirit is believed to be a force of manipulation and control, particularly over women, and is often associated with wickedness and immorality. Sounds good, huh? Sounds great. But then I read on where it says, here's a more detailed breakdown. And then it gave me the origin of the Jezebel spirit. And it said, origin, the term Jezebel spirit is primarily associated with the New Apostolic Reformation movement, a branch of charismatic Christianity. And I said, hold on, doggy. Stop right there. I scratched my head and I said, what is the New Apostolic Reformation movement? What is that? And then I Googled it. And then I Googled it. And this is what I found. I said the woman was trying to flow show. But then I Googled the New Apostolic Reformation. And look what it told me in the first sentence. The New Apostolic Reformation is a Christian supremacist theological belief and controversial movement associated with the far right. Goddamn. Now, even the dumb people know who the far right are. The far right are those wacky, way out Republican types. You know, the same people that stormed the Capitol on Jan 6. The same people that are just stupid crazy over Donald Trump. The same people that came out after KKK. The far right is the same racist white people that hate black people. This is who created the Jezebel spirit. My God. Did I get her or did I get her? And so, what I did to that woman was a grand open, grand closing. You see, when people try to high side, they try to be intellectual flexors. They want to make you think that the Jezebel spirit is some cool nouveau shit, and then you show that the people that created the Jezebel spirit was some far right-wing racist. Shame on a black person for quoting far white racist ideologies. That's the point. But it goes back to niggas trying to flex out here with knowledge and ain't got no knowledge, looking like Damon Wayans in Living Color again.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter. by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumvent, circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jailhouse activation.
And so, that was the undoing and deconstruction of the so-called Jezebel spirit. Total annihilation. I get it. Leave me alone, Khalil. Oh, yeah. Destroyed. Destroyed in 3 different websites. So much for the Jezebel spirit. Grand opening, grand closing. Now, let's move right along to the other fellow over there. Oh, the other fellow. He's another jailhouse lunatic intellectual. Talking about Hebrew Israelite oxymoron. Ooh, he sounds like he's heavy. He sounds like he about to drop the flavor of the month. He sounds like he knows some shit about words and phrases and oxymorons. Oh, yes, he does. Oh, he over there on his Jailhouse. Not being informed to the highest degree of accuracy, I hesitate to articulate for fear of rectitude from the true course of rectitude. Not being informed to the highest degree of accuracy, I hesitate to articulate for fear of deviation from the true course of rectitude. A lot of verbal mumbo-jumbo masturbation to try to impress people, but you don't really know nothing. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this fellow here. Oh, I'm not going to mention his name. Hell no. But look at his upcoming video scheduled for 7 days from now. I mean, the nigga don't work nowhere in America. It's going to take him 7 days, April the 30th. Make it 8 days. Today is April 22nd. Tomorrow is April 23rd, my birthday. But it's going to take him 7-8 days to get to swinging on this subject. Hebrew Israelite oxymoron. Now, first and foremost, I said first and foremost, I think the average person on the street probably doesn't know what the word oxymoron is. I mean, they hear the oxy like Oxycontin, that's a drug. Oxy, whatever it is, that cleaner that cleans your clothes. And they hear the word moron, and we kind of know a moron is a stupid person. But what is oxymoron? And why does he put it next to the words Hebrew Israelite? Oh, I get it. I think what the dude is trying to say is that Hebrew and Israelite don't go together. Because if my 2 English degrees serve me correctly, an oxymoron means a juxtaposition of words. 2 words that are put together that are actually unequally yoked together. 2 words that don't make sense. Well, let's just go look at the definition of oxymoron. Here we go, people. What is the simple meaning of oxymoron? According to the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, oxymoron is defined as a phrase that combines two words that seem to be the opposite of each other. That's understandable. Two words that seem to be the opposite of each other. And so why does this YouTuber title his video Hebrew Israelite Oxymoron? Oh, he's inferring that Hebrew and Israelite are a phrase that combines two words that seem to be the opposite of each other. Well. Interesting. Now, off the top of my head, I can give you a couple examples of so-called oxymorons. A phrase like freezing fire. That's an oxymoron, because we know if things are frozen or freezing, they are super cold. And we know that fire is hot. Yes, yet there is a phrase known as freezing fire. Here's another one off the top of my dome. What is it? Yes. Deafening silence. That's an oxymoron. A deafening silence is an oxymoron. Because if something is deafening, that means it is super loud. Silence? How can something be a deafening silence? Something that's super loud yet is quiet? How does that work? What do they mean when they say something is a deafening silence? I'll tell you what a deafening silence is. A deafening silence is when you beat a motherfucker up on YouTube so bad that they are intentionally quiet as a church mouse. That's deafening silence. What it means is that their silence speaks more volumes than if they were just shouting and cursing. By virtue of a person's silence, it speaks louder than if they were screaming. That's what a deafening silence is, and that is an oxymoron. Oh yeah! Straight like that. Now back to this guy. And so what this jackleg preacher, this Damon Wayans in living color, wannabe grammatical get downer is trying to tell us is that Hebrew Israelite is an oxymoron. Well, with a few keystrokes, we can determine if Hebrew Israelite is an oxymoron. Again, remember the definition. The definition of Hebrew Israelite are two words that are put together that are seemingly the opposite of one another. Do you need to see the definition one more again? Okay, let's go. There it is. What is the simple meaning of oxymoron? According to the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, oxymoron is defined as a phrase that combines two words that seem to be the opposite of each other. Got it. So what this simpleton jailhouse wannabe in living color scholar wants to believe, or he wants us to believe, is that Hebrew and Israelite are two words that seem to be the opposite of each other. Yeah, we got it. I mean, why else would he have a scheduled video entitled Hebrew Israelite Oxymoron. What he's absolutely trying to tell us is that Hebrew Israelite doesn't go together. That this is a phrase with two words that appear to be opposite. Well, let's do like we did with that woman. Let's just go do a few clicks to see if Hebrew and Israelite are an oxymoron, to see if there's any relation to being a Hebrew to being an Israelite, or is there any relation from an Israelite to be a Hebrew? That's easy to do. First, let's Google, are Hebrews Israelites? Shall we? Of course. And so we go up to our Google and we put in our header, are Hebrews Israelites? And the answer is yes. All Israelites are Hebrews, but not all Hebrews are Israelites. We get that. We understand that. But yes, all Israelites are Hebrews. So how can that be an oxymoron? How can it be an oxymoron if all Israelites are Hebrews, but not all Hebrews are Israelites? Yeah, the term Hebrew generally refers to the descendants of Abraham, while Israelite specifically refers to the descendants of Jacob, also known as Israel, who was Abraham's grandson. We understand that. In the context of the ancient Israelites, Hebrew often denotes an Israelite from the nomadic era before the establishment of the kingdom of Israel. Okay. So it's not an oxymoron. So we've already Googled, are Hebrews Israelites? Now let's Google, are Israelites Hebrews? And here we are, up in the Google search, are Israelites Hebrews? And we scroll down and we read this. Oh, start up top. Are Israelites Hebrews? And again, the answer is yes. Israelites are often considered Hebrews. Grand opening, grand closing. So now we gotta wait 7 days to hear this nigga lie and try to make a distinction between a Hebrew and an Israelite. We understand that an Israelite is a Hebrew and a Hebrew is an Israelite. Going back to his bullshit. You see how simple that was, ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls? And so as it turns out, this is the bullshit conversation, that he doesn't understand the word oxymoron. He absolutely doesn't understand the word oxymoron, because a Hebrew is an Israelite and an Israelite is a Hebrew. And so what we are listening to, or what we are watching on the screen, viewing this title, Hebrew Israelite Oxymoron, is that same old Jailhouse Damon Wayans rhetoric.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation of the matter by transmitting the effervescence of the Indonesian proximity in order to further segregate the crux of my venereal infection. Now, if I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jailhouse activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic.
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
Allow me to expose my colon once again. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
And there you have it, folks. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. This is why they don't like me. Because I can destroy their conversation very quickly. Now he's got to come behind me 7 days from now and try to make a case that the words Hebrew and Israelite are an oxymoron, which they are not. The phrase oxymoron has to do with words that are joined together that seemingly are so opposite, like freezing fire and deafening silence, shit like that. Nobody thinks of oxymoron when they hear the phrase Hebrew Israelite. As a matter of fact, the Apostle Paul damn near put them together. I said the Apostle Paul damn near put these words damn near side by side. He spoke these words Hebrew Israelite in the same book, in the same chapter, and in the same verse. I said the Apostle Paul damn near put the word Hebrew and Israelite together. Oh, yes, he did. In 2 Corinthians 11 and 22, the same book, the same chapter, and the same verse, he said, "Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I." I guess this YouTuber wants us to think that Paul was engaging in oxymoronic conversation by mentioning the word Hebrews and Israelites one sentence after the other. I said, according to this YouTuber, Paul was oxymoronic because Paul actually put the word Hebrews and Israelites together in the same book, in the same chapter, and in the same verse. But when you are a simpleton, when you are a surface reader, you try to make an argument that the word Hebrew and Israelite isn't together as a contraction, a conjoined word, or a hyphenated word. That's what you do when you're simple. But again, it's okay to call yourself a Hebrew Israelite because Paul says, or Paul asks the poignant question, are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. And so, is it really a far stretch to call oneself a Hebrew Israelite? Dare I say no? Dare I say no? 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 22 absolutely shatters the notion that Hebrew and Israelite together are an oxymoron, because they aren't. They simply aren't. Because if Hebrew Israelite is an oxymoron, it means that the Apostle Paul engaged in oxymoronic verbiage. And he didn't. He actually proved it. That a Hebrew Israelite is a Hebrew, and an Israelite Hebrew is an Israelite. Ah! Are you folks starting to see why they call me a stalker? I'm not stalking them. YouTube is about the fair exchange of ideas and conversations. It's fair exchange. They have every right to go to my channel and to deconstruct any video I have posted. But check it out. Have you noticed? Neither one of them have ever gone to my channel and pulled one of my videos, Bible stuff, religious stuff, and tried to go behind my teaching. Have you noticed they won't do it? They can't do it. They dare not do it. I mean, at one point that guy did try to go video for video with me over the Apostle Paul. And after my 18th episode, he was done. He was done on episode 2 of his reply. I went 18 parts on the Apostle Paul, each video being about an hour and a half long. I did 18 parts. That nigga was done on part 2 of his rebuttal. He was done. And they weren't no hour and a half. But maybe you're starting to see now why they don't really like me. I mean, is it my fault that our paths crossed in these YouTube streets? High school dropouts, junior high school dropouts, uneducated people come across me, an educated man that absolutely proved that the Jezebel shit was bullshit. And now I just proved that the Hebrew Israelite is not an oxymoron. He's got 7 days to get it together. We'll be watching. We'll be waiting. I mean, how do you get around simple truth like what I just showed you? How do you get around it? We're talking the English language. The word oxymoron is a part of the English language. If you're going to use the word oxymoron, you must know its proper definition and usage. An oxymoron must absolutely be 2 words that seem to be opposite of one another. Hebrew Israelite are not 2 words that are opposite of one another, because Hebrews became Israelites and Israelites were Hebrews. It's a family affair. They belong to one another. And let me just say this about using the phrase Hebrew Israelite. Every single word and sentence that was used back in the days of Jesus and Paul are not recorded. You think that nobody in first century Palestine ever used the phrase, I'm a Hebrew Israelite? And your reasoning is because if you can't find those words word for word in the Bible, nobody ever in conversation told a Roman soldier, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I mean, Paul damn near said it in 2 Corinthians 11. He damn near said, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. He simply asked the question, are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. But when you are a superficial surface thinker and a superficial and surface reader, and because you can't find the word Hebrew and Israelite sitting side by side in your teeny weeny juvenile pedestrian mind, you think those two words have never been spoken ever in first century Palestine at the same time. You think that people never used the phrase Hebrew Israelite until the 20th century. That's how weirdo and simplistic and kindergarten this particular YouTuber's thinking is. That because the very exact phrase Hebrew Israelite is not in there word for word, he thinks that nobody in the past before the 20th century ever used that phrase. And I would argue just the opposite. I would argue that Jesus, Paul, and first century Jews and Hebrews and Israelites on occasion use the words conjunctively. Yeah, I'm a Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Judah. Yes, I am a Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Levi. I'm pretty sure I would bet a pretty penny in everyday first century conversation that the Jews were saying and using the phrase Hebrew Israelite together. Oh yeah. Sometimes you have to think outside of the box. Sometimes you have to do Isaiah 1:18, which says, "Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord." It is a reasonable assumption and a reasonable conclusion to believe that the phrase Hebrew Israelite was used in everyday first century Palestine conversation. Just because it wasn't recorded in the writings of Paul doesn't mean that the phrase wasn't used. That's Isaiah 1:18. Come now, brother, and let us reason together. That's number one. And number two is this. Every generation of religious people have a right to name and define themselves by the title they chose to. I mean, at one time, when Abraham came along, the Canaanites and the Jebusites and the Egyptians started calling those people Hebrews, and it stuck. Why can't, in the 20th century and the 21st century, why can't African Americans, why can't Black Americans who want to believe that they are the children of the book, why can't they choose their own moniker, their own handle, their own title, and their own name? Why must they stay in the cozy, comfy confines of what they were talking about back in Jesus' day? Why can't they have a revelation that suits them for today, as in Hebrew Israelites? But you go on with your craziness. But I've proven you to be just like Damon Wayans in A Living Color. That's right. You don't even know what an oxymoron is. No religious scholar, no theologian, no professor of English language, no grammar geek, no literary lion, no wordsmith would ever suggest that the phrase Hebrew Israelite is an oxymoron, because it's not. You just don't know what an oxymoron is, and you are preying on ignorance because you are ignorant. And with that, I'm out. I said I'm out.